If you were to use one or two words to describe how you felt when you first came into this study, what would they be?
I would say I was very concerned about how my sexual past would affect my upcoming marriage.
Angry and guilty.
I'd have to say ashamed and guilt.
Abnormal, queer, just barely hanging in there. Strange.
Disgusted and fearful.
I definitely felt ready. It was obvious to me that God was preparing my heart for this for the past year, so I was definitely ready to face it and get past it.
What's one or two words you would use to describe how you felt at the end of the study?
Relieved. I felt so relieved to get over it, and I felt rejuvenated. I felt my marriage, I definitely had hope for my marriage and hope for my future. At the time, I just felt like my marriage and, sex and my emotions, all of that was just going to spiral downward, and I definitely see it going up.
I felt more peace, and I felt happy and free.
Freed from the chains and the darkness that was like inside me was no longer there.
I had a huge sense of freedom. In the course of the study, all of the women sharing all of their different pasts and understanding all the same lies that we believed was just amazing, and I didn't feel like I was the only one.
Relieved. I can't even describe the relief that I felt. So much relief from my guilt and my shame from my past.
Just incredibly blessed that I had the opportunity to start fresh before I entered into my marriage, and just very grateful for the tools that I was given, and hopeful that I would have the opportunity to just really enjoy everything God has intended for marriage.
What's one or two significant ways that God changed your life during this study?
Well, he, at the beginning of the study, gave me a verse, Joel 2:25, that says, "I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten."
He's restored my self-confidence. He has also just given me so much peace from my past.
I kind of became who I was really made to be, and that was to have confidence in who I was and just to speak the truth of God.
Being able to see others through God's eyes and having godly sorrow for them and giving people a little bit more grace than I would have, say, in the past.
He showed me that sex was holy, and that was just something I couldn't comprehend, and until I looked at the Song of Songs and over again and just took in all the wonderful things that God had truly intended sex to be, and how in so many ways that sex is synonymous with the way that God would like to express his love to us. And in addition to that, my spirit was just healed of those gaping wounds of pieces that I had left with other people from my past, and I began to feel whole again, which was also very nice to be able to offer to my husband.
This study, besides drawing you closer to God, also focuses on three main areas. One of them is we break the sexual bonds that we create emotionally and physically and spiritually in our past. The second area is we examine the lies that we ingrain because of our sexual relationships in our past, and we replace them with God's truth. And the third area is we're able to rebond in future relationships if we're single, or in our present relationship if we're married. So of those three areas, which one do you think was most impactful for you?
Definitely the last, rebonding with my husband. He was used to me not being there, being numb during those moments of intimacy. And when I started praying during those moments, I was able to be there emotionally, and it took a while for him to adjust to that too, so it was huge for both of us.
Definitely the emotional. I carried a lot of emotional baggage from my past experiences and relationships, and I was able to check that baggage at the door. Also, because I am married, he's given me a fresh start with my husband, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm just so excited because I have no idea what he has in store for me.
You know, I wrote down at first that I thought it was the actual breaking of the bonds, And the reason I wrote that down was because it was so immediate. But then, as I go along, I'm seeing God as reversing lies that have been ingrained in me about how I view myself and men and sex.
I think they've all been impactful in different ways. I guess because I'm remarried, that is probably the strongest at this point. I feel like a lot of the wounds of the past are gone, but the relationship I have with my second husband is so much stronger and real than my first, and so that probably is the most significant right now.
I would definitely say my husband and I reconnected emotionally. It was, something clicked with both of us, and I was able to just see him through new lenses. I could see him how God wanted me to see him. I felt in love with him in a different way than I had before. It wasn't so much work. I didn't feel this tightness.
I would have to say all of them. I can't commit to one. I think being able to separate those bonds and be whole, to be able to learn along the way, and then because I was preparing to enter into marriage, I had to prepare myself to let go even of the bonds that my husband and I, or my husband-to-be and I had established, and then entering into marriage. And God really showed me that sex was not perverse, that it didn't have to be this thing that hurt me emotionally, and it didn't have to be this tool in a power struggle. And He's really given me the opportunity to say, you know, it's not going to be easy, but at least I have a stronger foundation.